Engine, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how to pronounce your name. She's a vegan activist from the Save movement, and she will talk to us about how to come closer to the animals.
Yes.
Here you go. Just to tell that she will do her presentation, and then we'll have like a 5 or 10 minute Q&A. Depends on how much time we'll have. Here you go.
Cheers.
Thank you.
When the suffering of another creature causes you to feel pain, do not submit to the initial desire to flee from the suffering one, but on the contrary, come closer, as close as you can to they who suffer, and try to help them. This is the ideology that we live by with the Save movement. In the way that if we see an animal on the street, a dog with a broken leg, we will do everything we can to help them. The same when it comes to us. If we fall down a hill, most of us will wish that someone would come and help us, and at least come closer to see what we can do to help. And that's what we believe in with the Save movement. And that's what I personally believe in myself. Who am I? My name is Schedón. I'm from the north of Norway. Been vegan for 4 years and a full-time animal rights activist for a bit more than 2 years now. I've been traveling around Europe. I've been visiting 23 countries. I went to several different slaughterhouses. I've been doing several different forms of animal rights activism. And what we are basically doing is that we are traveling around and focusing on helping building strong communities that can together speak strongly for the animals. So what do we really do with the Save movement? So as you can see on this picture, this is a dog bearing witness. So what is bearing witness? What we do is that we go to outside slaughterhouses and we stop the trucks, we see the animals, we come closer as we absolutely can, to see if we can help them. Sometimes they are very thirsty, especially in the summer. Often they have come from far away, several hours in the truck. Often the first time they've ever seen daylight, because they see it through the gaps of the truck. And often when we come up to them, we step up to them, we see that they really are in desperate need of care and water and other things. So we stand there, we are peaceful, and we try to stop the trucks. That's the basic idea of what we are doing. However, we also do have some other ways of dealing with being outside the slaughterhouse. Might sound a bit strange for many of you to be outside the slaughterhouse for hours, and we often do this several times a month. So the main thing we are doing is, of course, being there for the animals, connecting with them. As you can see in this picture, this is a pig from a pig save in the Netherlands. No, in Belgium, sorry. And with pigs especially, what we can really see is that we, as animal rights activists or vegans or non-vegans, we often have never seen these animals. Sometimes we've maybe seen them in a petting zoo, or maybe even a sanctuary. However, when we see them on the trucks, it's a very, very different experience in the way that... All right. In a way that we connect with their fear, pain, and suffering, because we don't see that when they are in sanctuaries and when they are happy. But when we close eyes with them in any of these trucks, we can really connect with what is going on out there. Because often as vegans, we also like to believe that this is not in my country, because it is a little bit better in our country. I'm from Norway myself, which is supposed to be one of the highest welfare when it comes to animal rights. And I believed that for a very long time, until I started to go up and see the animals. And then I realized that's the exact same as everywhere else. So it's very important that we actually go there and see these things, because that does a lot with us. We often know that animals are suffering, and we often know that someone should do something. However, when we go there and see them, we see how serious this really is. Because it's not a joke what's going on out there. Animals are getting brutally murdered every single second. Now, as we speak, 30,000 every second. Right now, as we speak, pigs, cows, chickens, goats, sheep, and other animals, fishes, are getting dragged out of the oceans, dragged up after the legs, and slit their throat in a very brutal way, just so people can eat their flesh. And it's our duty to go there and see them, share their personality, create an individual out of something that they call a thing, out of something that is a product. Because for us, they are not something, they are someone. And it's our duty to put pressure on that and show that this something is not a thing, it's someone. And when we are doing this, we are always very love-based in our approach, in the way that we try to have a relationship with the slaughterhouse workers. Okay, that sounds a bit strange maybe. Why should we work together with those who are killing and abusing the ones we hold so close to our hearts and the innocent victims of the brutal slaughter that's going on? However, this is what can happen when we have a good relationship. Here is in Crete. We are on the property of the slaughterhouse. We went there with a group of 9 people, and we went straight up to them and asked, can we see the animals? We love animals. Can we just spend some time with them and see them? And they let us be on the property, go around, connect with all the animals who were there. We spent about 1 hour there, got a lot of good footage, and they were welcome to come back, and they will be back next week already. So when we work together with them, when we respect these people who are working with animals, they are more likely to respect us as well. And if you think about it, I do believe that most activists want a vegan world. And if we want a vegan world, should we then create enemies and push these people away? Or should we try to educate them, try to share our vegan food, our knowledge with them? Because I personally believe that suffering cannot exist in a very beautiful place. So if we, let's say all of us here, would go outside a slaughterhouse and make a camp there and stay there for a month and spread love-based animal rights activism, talk with the workers, give them vegan food for free every morning, I do think that it would be way, way more difficult for them to go in and detach themselves from what is actually happening. Because that is what most slaughterhouse workers have to do. They have to detach themselves so they don't see the victims and the individual that is getting murdered or that they are murdering. So when we can be there and raise awareness, they are more likely to question what is going on. And actually with the same movement, several slaughterhouse workers and truck drivers have decided to stop their job because they have had great conversations with animal rights activists. So, however, most of the time we do not go to their property. Most of the time we stand outside next to the road. Often there's very busy roads, not always. And we stand there with signs, and often we reach hundreds of people, often even thousands. Sometimes people stop, maybe not the first time they see us, but when they see us consistent. You can imagine yourself if you would drive past and you would see 15 vegans standing with signs next to a slaughterhouse. Most people will go to work and start talking about it. It was in their local area. Normally, slaughterhouses is not in the biggest cities, a bit outside, where people often like to gossip about everything that's going on. So if we keep on being there, they will keep on talking. And then they are more likely to question what's happening and talk about veganism in general. And that's one of our biggest goals, to get people to talk about what's going on, because that's the first step before they realize and before they make a difference themselves. And as you also see, this is in the middle of the winter. It's cold. This was actually at one vigil where the temperature dropped to 30 minus, and they went out to have an emergency vigil because the animals were freezing to death in the trucks. So they went out there to raise awareness on that. And when we are going out in these conditions, we also show friends and family and people around us, people passing by, that we are serious. Because most people know that no one would like to stand outside in freezing cold for hours or in the extreme heat. So when people see this, they do really take everything more serious. However, we also do some different stuff. Like we do believe that the environment is a huge part of animal rights. We are destroying wildlife, we are destroying their habitats. So we also have a branch called the Climate Save movement, where we go out and we clean forests, we clean beaches, and we basically do things that are related to the environment. And often after these cleanups, we invite environmentalists, we invite people who care in general about the environment and not necessarily about animal rights. However, after the cleanup, we often do a conspiracy screening, where everyone go together, watch Conspiracy, and then we do debates. So we always try to work together with others who are not necessarily vegan, so that we can educate and get more vegans on board, because environmentalists are basically vegans, just not yet. So when we can help them get a bit closer with being together with them, organizing things together, then we are already way much closer to animal liberation. All right, so I'm going to show a video from a vigil in Costa Rica. Yeah, so it's not really graphic, but it is animals in trucks. So I just want to let you all know that. All right. So this is what we basically are doing. And yes, it's quite emotional. It's quite tough for us to go and be there. For us as vegans who already do not consume products from these animals. However, if we ever would want someone to be there for us, if we would be in these positions for any reasons, if we would want someone to come and give us a hand, even if we wouldn't understand their language, even if we wouldn't know what they are saying, most of us would appreciate to get a hand to hold in, or at least a bottle of water if we are thirsty. And if we believe that, and if we would want that, we have the duty to be there for the animals, because no one else will. And we are the ones who can be there for them and change this. And yes, it is emotional. I have never met anyone who say, I look forward to go to my first vigil. A vigil is what we call it when we gather outside slaughterhouses. But I have also never met anyone who said, I regret going to my first vigil. And we have one tomorrow here in Thessaloniki, or it's about 25 minutes away. You can find it's tomorrow morning from 8 to 11. You can find the event on Facebook, Activism on the Road. And it will be great to see as many people as absolutely possible there. And hopefully we will be able to see some animals, connect a bit with them. Yeah, so this is the first vigil that will be here in Thessaloniki. We have done some in Athens now, Volos, Crete, and we're going to Corfu as well. And so far we have seen quite a bit of animals, and it's the same as everywhere else. However, it's very important that we can go there together and show the strength that we have. And when we do that, when we see these animals ourselves, we get such strong advocates. Because often we have seen, for example, Earthlings, the movie, or Dominion, and we have seen footage of animals being treated really bad. So when we talk to people, we of course know what we are talking about and we want to share this. However, we taught from something we have learned from others. When we go there on our own and look these animals in their eyes, it's not something we see from other people anymore. And we start talking from our heart. We start talking with very strong emotions. Once I went to a vigil. I went to a chicken slaughterhouse, and we were bearing witness. I was putting my finger into the truck, and a chicken slowly died on my finger. The same day, I went to do some vegan outreach, when we went to the people to talk with them on the street and give out flyers. A guy came up to me, and he said, yeah, but I only eat chicken. I burst down in tears. I showed him the video of the chicken dying on my finger, which was half an hour away from where we were talking. I didn't say a word. And he said, I will never eat chicken ever again in my life. So sometimes when you connect with your emotions, you don't even need to talk to people. You can just show them and be present in what's happening. And often that is enough to get them to change and to get them to realize what's going on. Animal liberation starts with you. We have the change. We have the change within us. And we can go out and spread this. Every single one of us has so much more power than we believe in. The only thing that have ever changed anything for the better has been a small group of people speaking up against injustice, because that's where it starts. And you, every one of you, have the power to speak up. We have the power to be their voice. They are screaming for help every second. They are screaming very loudly, but no one chooses to hear them. When we go to the slaughterhouses, we can hear their screams and we can connect with them. And now is the time to act. Now is the time to go out and make a difference. I don't know if you saw what happened in Australia a few days ago. This needs to happen everywhere. We need to speak up and we need to go out and be their voice, and we need to do it now. Thank you. I think we have some time for Q&A, if anyone have any questions. All right.
thank you, Siobhan. I really enjoyed your speech, very emotional. I have to say, I have great respect for what you're doing and the same movement in general. My main issue with this kind of activism is how do you keep your composure with your relatives or friends or people who, I mean, personally I prefer sometimes the kind of activism where, like the Anonymous for the Voiceless, where you speak with people and trying to convince them. But when you experience this stuff, you see the animals, you feel their fear, their pain, how can you keep your composure when you see your family, your parents, your friends eating the animals that you're trying to save, basically? This is my question, because I really can't put myself in your shoes. I think I would be crazy if I were doing what you do. And huge respect.
Thanks, that's a quite good question, and honestly, you guys, like every single vegan activist out there is what keep giving me strength, giving me motivation. If I would do all this alone, it wouldn't be possible. I would probably quit a long time ago. But I'm traveling around meeting dedicated people. Sometimes it's a very small group of people. I've had workshops with 2 people showing up, and I've had workshops with 50 people showing up. But no matter where we are, there is always someone who wants to change the world for animals. And that is basically what's keeping me strong, because I know I'm not alone in this. However, when it comes to friends and family, it's difficult. And that's why I suggest that we go out and do as much activism as we can, because that's when we get a vegan family. And a vegan family is amazing. It's so beautiful to be a part of a whole team all around the world who's spreading compassion. And that's the main goal that animal rights activists have. And that's the only way I would be able to do this, is because of the vegan family. Any other questions?
Where will the first Thessaloniki vigil be, and how long is it from here?
So the first vigil is tomorrow morning. It starts at 8. Το αυριανό vigil είναι αύριο το πρωί 8 με 11. Είναι περίπου 20 λεπτά έξω από τη Θεσσαλονίκη, στην περιοχή του Λαγκαδά, 2 χιλιόμετρα έξω από το Λαγκαδά. Δεν έχει να κάνει με το σφαγείο του συγκεκριμένο, οποιοδήποτε άλλο σφαγείο δεν μπορεί να είναι. Απλά είναι επειδή είναι κοντά στην πόλη, συμβαίνει αυτό που θα συνέβαινε σε κάποιο σφαγείο. Αυτό θα είναι.
All right. So you can find it on Facebook on Activism on the Road. It's on the events there. So if you go on that Facebook page, that's also our Facebook page. So feel free to follow us if you want to see what we are doing around Europe. So there was no more questions? All right. Okay.
I would also like to congratulate you and thank you. I recently had a discussion about engaging into activism in non-violent ways. However, we observe that within veganism, violence is really present. But I also have been observing forms of vegan activism where people go and destroy meat-eater places and vandalize those places. And this comes with violence from activists. So how do we engage in good, let's say, non-violent activism?
So with the SAVE movement, we are all about non-violence, and we are very love-based. So this is like we never break the law when we are there. With this, we always have either permission or there's no law against us being there. We don't go to private property unless specific situations. So in general, like this is a very love-based and non-violence. You also have Anonymous for the Voiceless, who's also non-violent, love-based, and you have Direct Action Everywhere, which is also non-violent and quite love-based as well. So it's a lot of different forms of activism, and with the Save movement, we always promote non-violence. However, it's also, I think, from my personal perspective, I think that it's not possible to cause violence towards property in the way that ALF have been doing activism for the last 40, 50 years. They do not cause any harm to humans or animals. However, they do destroy laboratoriums and fur farms and stuff like this. So, and this have been a great success and are one of the reasons why we are so far in the movement today. So I'm not going to say be violent in general. However, I do think it's very difficult if we want to see a whole vegan world. We cannot tell someone to behave in a certain way, because in the world we have criminals, we have violent people, we have nice people. So we cannot really control people's behavior. However, we can share our knowledge and help them towards transitioning towards veganism. So I would say find your passion, find your way of doing activism, but at least do something so the animals are not left totally alone out there. So just listen to your heart and find your own ways. Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for presenting us today. And I gained a lot of knowledge, considering that I'm not very fond, as I found out today, I'm vegan. I get activism of it. But I'm also very inspired by the passion driven by the members. Because you cannot go on with this activism if you don't have passion for it. And you can't go on if you do not inspire other people around you. And as the gentleman expressed previously, we're also, in Greece at least, we are in a community and society where meat is a very predominant selection of food. So what gave you passion initially for the Save movement, and what do you think inspires others to start, but also to continue and inspire others as well? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Great question. Can I just see a hand? How many here love dogs? Can I see a hand? Dog lovers? That's where I started. That's where I started with my vegan journey. I love dogs. I love animals. And then fur, I realized, okay, I don't need to wear fur, vivisection. Okay, tested on animals. And then I started watching things, and things started happening. I went vegan, and I saw what's going on. And I realized no one wants to see what's going on. I went vegan, and I wanted to show my friends and family, everyone around me, what's going on, because of course then they will go vegan. No, they didn't. So what to do? I needed to find a way to speak up. And I started Googling, I saw YouTube videos of James Aspey, Earthling Ed, and so on, and I was inspired. And I went out and I tried a few different things. But it was when I went to a slaughterhouse. Once I looked, I was at a ritual, I saw several animals that day. I cried the whole day outside the slaughterhouse, and it was this one calf. When I locked eye with this little calf, I saw that the only thing this little baby wanted was freedom, playing with his friends and running around in a field. But no, he was a few months old and now on the way to get his throat slit. And at that moment, it was like something happened inside of me. It was like a fire I never ever experienced in my life before. And I just realized that this is what I have to do. I have to be there for them. No one ever needed me ever before, like, okay, maybe friends and family here and there, but no one really desperately needed me. But these babies did, and they still do. So that is purely what is driving me. And of course, the motivation and all the power that we share together as animal rights activists. All right, I think we are running over time. So once again, thank you. I hope to see many of you tomorrow. Cheers.